What's up guys, it's me Lumos Theromax, and today we solve arguably one of the best Lantern Corps battles around. Who would win? The Red Lantern Corps or the Sinestro Corps in an all-out Corps war. I've done plenty of research and revisited plenty of content into both factions, and I'm here to give you my own take on this specific battle. But before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe, as most of you moochers haven't even done that yet. This is also a fan-sponsored video, so if you want more content like this, feel free to let me know. I take requests on my Discord, which is linked below, and of course take payment via Cashapp. But first off, we need to establish each corps, what they have to offer in terms of both ability and hacks, as well as what notable figures each side brings to the table in this cosmic battle that is about to occur. Let's start off with the Red Lantern Corps and see what the hateful Reds led by Atrocitus bring. Long ago, due to a computer glitch, the Manhunter units genocided most of Space Sector 666, leaving only 5 people in their wake. They formed a group called the Five Inversions, a group of wildly powerful blood mages who fought against the Manhunters and the Guardians of the Universe. Atrocitus learned all he could from them and then killed his fellow inversions and used their blood to create the Red Lantern Central Power Battery and forged the first Red Rings, creating the Red Lantern Corps. From this point on, the Red Lantern Corps is led by Atrocitus, the definitively most powerful member of the Red Lanterns consistently. Atrocitus uses physical violence to enforce his will across the Red Lantern Corps, and anybody who steps out of line, he personally deals with. Atrocitus is strong enough to throw hands with Sinestro, Lobo, and Hal Jordan, as well as mess up entire teams such as Nightwatch while nerfed. He also has a very unique clairvoyance hack due to his blood magic as well. Atrocitus has possessed the Butcher, the entity of rage, for a short period, and it took White Lantern Kyle Rayner to relieve him of this power. Along for the ride with the Reds is also Bleeze, who is traditionally the second in command and often attempts to kill off anyone who manages to get in her way. She's ragdolled teams of Green Lanterns even if they're amped by blues, and most notably Guy Gardner was in the mix. She's also thrown hands with pretty much every Red Lantern besides Atrocitus and come out victorious. Up next is Rancor, who is the first human Red Lantern, whose major contribution to the Corps is adding constructs. Rancor's use of constructs has allowed him to even the playing field against powerful Red Lanterns and even a Green Lantern, Guy Gardner. Rancor has held off multiple enraged Red Lanterns and an enraged Bleeze, so he's definitely top tier Red Lantern as a result. Dexter, the cat Red Lantern, is also a pretty big savage who at times can contain Bleeze with his constructs, and even Guy considers this cat impossible to kill. And he can even escape the rest of the Red Lanterns on multiple occasions. I would consider these members, Atrocitus, Rancor, Bleeze, and Dexter, the A-team for the Red Lanterns, as these members are considered far more powerful and demonstrate much better feats than the rest of their allies. Other notable members of the Red Lantern Corps include Scalix, who can blind characters such as Apollo with his napalm hacks, and can even tank attacks from him that Midnighter thought would kill most people, and throw hands with him as well. He's a notable weaponsmith, often utilizing weapons outside of his ring in combat. Zelaya Sox, the round Red Lantern, is considered one of the most valuable lanterns by Bleeze and is a total tank, tanking Red Lantern Supergirl attacks along with attacks from Atrocitus on a variety of occasions and still be capable of getting up. Even while weakened, Zelias can shatter Star Sapphire constructs and at times can tango with Bleeze. There are also a few other Red Lanterns who are around for a little bit that may also be in the mix depending at what point in time you want this battle to occur, which would include like Scorch, a Red Lantern who can burn things to ash via her touch, Klarn, a Red Lantern who can redirect energy attacks, and Ratchet, who is the keeper of the Central Power Battery. Other notable things to consider when dealing with the Red Lantern Corps is that they have insane regeneration and stamina, napalm breath, most specifically from Atrocitus, being wildly dangerous, burning through absolutely everything, as well as just how physically powerful even random members of the Red Lantern Corps are in comparison to many other members of other different Lantern Corps. This makes up for them not having vast numbers, as it's hard for Atrocitus to maintain order amongst rage-filled members of his Corps through force alone. The Red Lantern Corps has notable victories against factions of the Green Lanterns, which included John Stewart, Kilowog, and Hal Jordan, as well as constructing the Hell Tower on Earth with seemingly very little difficulty. It's also interesting to note that the blood pits of Yzmolt can be weaponized to drain power rings as well, so if they have the home field advantage, this may be a factor that they could use to their advantage, of course. Not to mention, the more blood that's around them, the more dangerous the blood hacks from atrocitus will inevitably get, and these blood pits are a large source of that. This could include blood tornadoes that can fry entire planets. When they are unified, the Red Lantern Corps is one of the most dangerous factions and forces inside the entire universe. Also, since we're in the middle of a break, be sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this, but now let's get into their opposition, the Sinestro Corps. The Yellow Lanterns of Fear are led by the most powerful member in their corps, and the founder, hence the name of the Corps. But how did they come together? Sinestro was once a Green Lantern who enforced the perfect form of order in his space sector. At least in his eyes. Sinestro was banished for enforcing fear with his ring into the antimatter universe, a realm of pure fear. There, with the Cordians, he forged a new ring out of fear itself and donned the first yellow ring in combat. Many years later, he forced the Cordians to craft enough rings to rival the Green Lantern Corps and waged war against the entire universe, to force them either to give in to fear or to make it a safer place. Sinestro is a tyrant both in terms of his ideology and his power set. Sinestro has overcome Parallax, the entity of fear, for his core, and even weaponizes it himself, which later caused fear itself, Parallax, to be afraid of both Sinestro and his abilities. Sinestro is constantly throwing hands with the best lanterns around, and has even humiliated Hal Jordan at his best, and at worst causes Hal to kill himself to be comparable. The Black Order is his top-tier enforcers, and out of them, this is what I would consider the best of the Sinestro Corps. First off, we have Lyssa Drak, the Story Witch. She has devoured the Book of Parallax, granting her extra hacks such as powering up her and Sinestro's rings passively. She is also the Keeper of Fears for the Corps, and throws hands with many members of both this Corps and others. We also have Soren Ignatu, the daughter of Sinestro, who brings the same energy to the table. She branded Kyle Rayner and even fought off the Paling, as well as has led the entire Sinestro Corps at a variety of different times. Next off, we have Arkillo, the brute force of the Corps. He has thrown hands with the strongest of the Vega Archangels and tanked his attacks, thrown hands with Kilowog and even Mongol with 6 yellow rings. Never quite the top of the Corps, but always around second. Last but not least, we have Becca of the New Gods. One of the warlords of New Genesis. She has unique hacks that force others to fall in love with her during combat, and this ability has even shown the capability of affecting Highfather. With her ring, she is a nightmare, and even without it, she can tussle with a prep time Mongol and destroy Arkillo with 1 to 2 attacks from her blade. This blade is also a mother box, which includes boom tube travel, which allows her a very quick ability to maneuver across the universe, along with her Sinestro Corpsmen. Other notable members, honestly, I could be here all day as the Sinestro Corps is very vast, but I'll notate a few others just in case. Des Trevius is an assassin from a feudal Japan-like world who can throw hands with Lyssa Drak and also fight Paling members. Ranks is an entirely automated world that can be weaponized and is constantly an op to Mogo, arguably one of the strongest Green Lanterns there is. Despotilus is a microorganism that can attack beings on a cellular level and has toppled entire species in short periods. The Weaponer of Quard, if here during the battle, is a wildly dangerous member that has access to White Lantern constructs as well as a yellow ring. He has soloed entire factions of the GLC, including Ganthet, with a green ring before. Being Yellow Lanterns, they have access to a vast amount of information and the innate ability to forge their opposition spheres into hard-like constructs they can use as weapons. Well coordinated and organized, the Sinestro Corps is a dangerous foe who has notable victories against the Paling on Earth, the destruction of most of the GLC on their home turf, raiding Earth, defeating Warworld with prep time Mongols' defenses, and much, much more. It's interesting to note that Sinestro enforces fear in his course, and anyone stepping out of line is dealt with swiftly, as Sinestro both knows your history and your thoughts once you choose to wield... never mind. Once he forces you to wield one of his rings. This also helps him understand what his Lantern's abilities are and their limitations to use you effectively in combat. If you can't be used effectively in combat, he'll just sacrifice you by turning you and your ring into a suicide bomber, much like he did half of his corps against the New Gods, and trust me, he won't care if he does. Their weaponry extends outside of just their rings with ranks and Warworld if they are allowed to join the fray, as this is something that's a constant and consistent thing for them to utilize in combat. Needless to say, the Sinestro Corps is one of the most feared factions in the entire universe. So we've established the players, but now we need to get down to the details of the battle. For the sake of this versus event, we are going to assume this takes place on a neutral planet. If both factions arrive at the same time in full force, who's going to come out on top in this core war? Now, for this scenario, and if you want to see others, be sure to like and subscribe down low. Also comment what you'd like to see. But in this scenario, only ring wielders are going to arrive for both sides. No external things such as ranks or Warworld for the Sinestro Corps or the Blood Pits of Yzmalt for the Red Lantern Corps. I'm also going to eliminate the use of Parallax or the Butcher for either side, so neither side can rely on an emotional entity to overpower the other. If I'm being real, I'm not even sure we would make it to the planet before a battle would break out between these two factions. The first thing that would happen is the Reds are going to rush at the Sinestro Corps with the attempts to physically overpower all of them and force them away. They will have a vast amount of success in doing so as well. They will be shredding through all the fodder of the Sinestro Corps like paper, as Sinestro and the Black Order will sit back watching and analyzing the battle. Sinestro will recognize the danger Atrocitus presents, as they have quite a history with one another. Both are going to be aware of what each other's capabilities are. Sinestro will coordinate a plan with the Black Order and utilize them as a strike force against the strongest members of the Red Lanterns with the hopes of cutting off the head of the opposing corps. This is where the battle will be won for either side. As the Black Order crosses off with the strongest of the Red Lanterns, Atrocitus and Sinestro will find themselves in a 1v1 as no other member will wish to interrupt the two corps leaders. After the two throw out some one-liners and they both attempt to prove who is more of a Chad, a fight breaks out between the two. As they clash, both corps seemingly stop to wait and watch to see who will come out victorious. However, after a variety of different blows, regardless of how it occurs, one thing is clearly evident. Sinestro is vastly superior to Atrocitus, due to both his range and construct advantage. Despite Atrocitus' best efforts, he will find himself either dying outright or having to run away to lick his wounds and try again another day. Once Atrocitus has done either, it doesn't really matter who survived against the forces of Sinestro Corps, as no one here can deal with Sinestro outside of Atrocitus. The vast numbers of the Sinestro Corps also allow them to outnumber and overpower the remaining Red Lanterns unless they flee as well. Even if things got desperate, Sinestro could just blow up his own members, and these explosions can kill new gods, and Red Lanterns would also fall to such an attack if they're unnamed. Even when it comes to tertiary members of the Red Lantern Corps, they pale in comparison to some of the higher-end Sinestro Corps members, such as Becca and Arkillo. Unfortunately, the Red Lanterns cannot contend with the numbers, skill, coordination, and power the Sinestro Corps have at their disposal. The Sinestro Corps claim the planet against the will of the Red Lantern Corps, and will entirely destroy the Corps or eliminate most of their ranks as they flee. The worst part is it's actually in character for Sinestro to weaponize Parallax, and he didn't even get to do that here. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, but
Lumos, you're just a biased idiot who only favors Yellow Lantern. Look at your profile pic. I need proof because Red Lantern's big, angry, super strong.
Okay, well, if you don't want to take my word for it, let's look at some canon examples of a time when the Sinestro Corps and Red Lanterns have actually crossed off. First up, we have a follow-up to the debut of the Red Lanterns, so this is them at their most Chad. I want you to remember that. We have the Sinestro Corps invade the homeworld of the Red Lanterns, the planet Yzmalt, and walk away. Why is this impressive? Because they were there to rescue a Sinestro who was captured by the Green Lanterns, had his ring removed, and then taken by Atrocitus. Not only did they succeed, but this is a small faction of the random Sinestro Corps members who show up, as they were in a civil war and their most prominent members were MIA or too injured to actually arrive to this battle. Second, let's look at the end of the Sinestro solo run from the New 52, where a prep time Red Lantern Corps intends to strike against the Sinestro Corps and are humiliated when they actually manage to engage them. They were tactically destroyed by the Sinestro Corps and the most fucked up part is that Sinestro wasn't even there for that battle. The battle was led by Sornik Natsu, Sinestro's daughter, someone who's nowhere near as powerful or skilled as Sinestro. So we have two solid examples of the Sinestro Corps doing extremely well against the Red Lantern Corps. So there's no doubt to be had. the Sinestro Corps would indeed eliminate the Red Lantern Corps in this situation. But as I said earlier, there's other scenarios that can play out. Would you like to hear another one? You never know. That being said, thanks for hanging out and discovering which Corps would win in this Corps war. If you'd like to see this video or other videos of this kind, you can always hit me up on my Discord where I take requests via Cashapp, as this video is sponsored by a Theromax Corps member. Thanks for hanging out today. If you want more Corps war, hit the like and subscribe button. And I guess that's all we really have this time around. I guess I'll see you all next time, Lanterns. Later.